Welcome to NBNR, the authority on unfiltered opinions and authentic player insight for Nebraska athletics. Connect with us on Twitter, Instagram, and at NBNRpodcast.com.
We have the saying, no block, no rock.
You know, we just really love Hunter. He's a junkyard dog.
Kenny Bell ran up to me. He's like, you know what you just did?
You get mad when you go get in the portal and go to another podcast?
You know, usually dumbbells are in pairs. They had 5 dumbbells.
Dang on it, Muhammad!
GBR.
Ready? There we go. Hey,
Here we go.
Hey,
Here we go.
Live show. Things are getting a little nuts here.
Game day,
At
baby.
the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Go Big Red indeed. No block, no rock. Season 4 episode Michigan State pregame show. This is not, we don't have an episode number for this one, guys.
No.
It's not like a real one. I was sitting at home yesterday and I was like, hey, what are you guys doing for the game? And you guys were like, oh, I don't really have any plans. And Connor's in Chicago. So I was like, well, you guys want to do a live show? And then Kyle's like, let me make a couple texts. And next thing you know, we are at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Didn't even know this was happening until last night.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
It's awesome. We do have Ravi Lulla joining us in a little bit. He's just running a little behind. So he will be joining us soon, but it's live.
Bro,
roll with it.
We got an hour and a half until the Huskers kick off in East Lansing against Michigan State. Fellas, just like what are you expecting today? Like what's the takeaway that you anticipate? Let's say it's we're picturing that it's almost 2:00. Well, how are you feeling? How do you think you're feeling after this game?
I hope I'm feeling very happy. And I'm hoping I feel like we have just made a bowl game for the first time since 2016. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Huge game. Yes. But there is the flip side of that too, where it's like, how am I feeling at 2:00? I might be really sad and upset. That is an option.
Whoa.
I'm just saying, I'm giving you both sides of it.
It's both sides.
Yes.
You got to be reasonable. Kyle, what are you thinking about this game against Michigan State today?
Well, I'll tell you, for the first time for Hurrdat Sports, I was live tweeting last week's game. And of course, it was the game with fumble, turn, interception, blocked kick. Like there was just so much going on. I'm hoping that today I'm on the same duties that as I'm tweeting,
Said duty.
as I did say duty, I'm hoping that by about 2:00, my fingers aren't bleeding and it's not filled with like, hey, this is another really sloppy game.
So all you people out there now, Kyle, when you're live tweeting, are you doing it from the Hurrdat Sports account or is it like yours? Okay.
Yeah. It's Hurrdat Sports. So if you're looking for updates, if you can't watch the game and you're just checking out the live stream here today, if you need updates, you're at a poorly timed wedding. You can always just check Hurrdat Sports and I've got you covered.
At an 11 a.m. wedding on a Saturday, Husker game day.
What are we doing?
Although,
we still do this.
I would salute that bride because it is an away game. So she did her job.
Yep.
Yes.
Listen, if you're going to do it, fine. Do it when it's an away game. It makes it a little more palatable, a little more forgivable, but still, like, how about just don't get married at all? How about that?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Gosh.
Okay, so some of the comments here. I got Taco Johnson. Taco Johnson, I love that. Huge game today. Huge. Black shirts have 4 sacks today. Well, that
would be like 4 Big Macs, right?
Yeah. I will say, though, the injury report did come out. Prince Will is out.
Prince Will Umamyelen.
Wow, you nailed that.
Yeah, you did.
Holy cow.
I haven't been practicing that a lot. He is going to be out today. I did not anticipate that. I don't think any of us did.
No.
Came from a reputable source, so we're going to run with that.
It is like we're coming up on like flu season, so I don't know. I'm
That's
not
just
speculating.
weird,
It just came out of nowhere. It's like you didn't see him get injured last week.
Well, and Tony White was talking about the play that he made in the Purdue game, like earlier this week. So you just feel like, and Rule's very like open when it comes to injuries and stuff like that. So it had to be like a really weird one for him to be out because Rule probably would have talked about it on Thursday. We do have a couple comments here in the chat as well.
Get it.
We have from Brian Schmidt. He said, beat Michigan State, GBR. We got Kim. She said, GBR forever. Arnie, a good listener of ours, said, are you broadcasting from East Lansing? No, we are at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill over here on 120th and Giles over by Cabela's. If you don't have any plans for the game, make sure you come in here. They have excellent food, excellent drinks.
And
I have a Bloody Mary.
And TVs everywhere.
Oh, yeah, TVs galore. I mean, this is a sports bar. Like, it is the definition. When you walk in the door, it is like you feel like you're in Lincoln, but you're in Omaha. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we're at. We're at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
So come join us.
And then Paul Ivy, our friend Paul Ivy, said, my nephew got married on a game day. Wake Forest. Okay, I think that's what he meant to say. Wake Forest. Yes.
Was that the Daniel Bullock's Rip 6 game?
I don't know.
Okay. So, Mike, you said you're drinking a Bloody Mary. I'm drinking a mimosa. Kyle's got his frou-frou,
My
cold brew.
my
brew.
basic bitch drink, my cold foam. Listen, Starbucks has a chokehold on me. Like I it's right next to my house. I can't leave the neighborhood without passing by
That is
it.
very close to your house.
Yeah.
Ben also said, what role does special teams need to play in today's win?
Well, come on. I mean, okay. 2021. What's the backbreaker?
Oh my gosh.
It was the
Oh
punt.
my gosh. Do you remember that? Do you?
Yes.
Remember when we put everybody to the right side of the field and our punter
Kicked
kicked it to the left side of the field?
Yeah.
And then the guy went untouched?
Yeah.
Like, we could have just punted it anywhere.
Just
Anywhere. I
Evil.
don't give a shit. We could have punted it backwards.
That
and it
play-
would have been better than what happened.
Yeah.
that play was satanic.
Yeah.
That play was satanic.
Yeah. I brought it
Now-
up. I brought it up last week.
Yeah, it's just you look back on it, it's just pain. But when you look at special teams, so Buschini, I feel like it's not like he's having a monster year or anything like that, but he's having a solid,
Steady Eddie.
fine year.
Yeah.
The weather in East Lansing, I hear, is like actually pretty good right now. It's like
50
40,
degrees. Yeah, it's
like-
going to be like 50 bucks. 50 bucks. Yeah. No, it's going to be like 50 degrees.
no wind.
At kick. Yep.
So like you don't anticipate swirling Memorial Stadium winds out there. And look, I think you're asking this question mainly because like Tristan Ovano, hello,
Yeah.
47-yarder against Northwestern, and then a 55-yarder. I don't care if he had the windows back. I don't care.
Yeah.
That shit was impressive.
Yep. Yeah. And I don't think today you need the like boom, blocked kick return for a touchdown to beat Michigan State. It sure would be nice.
I would take it.
It sure would be nice, but I don't think
Yeah.
you need it. And Brian Buschini, the punting that's usually a stat that I keep track of throughout the year. And I think he's roughly like 40 to 41 yard average, which is good. Like that's decent. That's midfield punter kind of thing. You're not at the low, you're not at the high. So
yeah, I mean, and when you take into consideration Nebraska's offense isn't the greatest, it's like when you don't have the boom play, because it's a lot of boom or bust, it seems like. When you can't get that boom, you're going to have to probably settle for a Tristan Ovano field goal today.
I hope.
We'll see.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what was weird? Just speaking of Tristan Ovano, and somebody put a comment out, I don't know if it was on Twitter or Facebook or whatever it was, but that video where Matt Rule says that, a warrior doesn't need a weapon. He is the weapon.
yeah.
And then it was very ironic that the two people who scored in that game were former West Side Warriors.
Yeah. Wow.
Homegrown.
We love that. We love that. We got our podcast mate Connor in Chicago just said happy game day.
He is in Chirac causing havoc.
Yeah.
I know. I can't.
Oh, now we're
I'm not touching it.
yeah. I don't know what's going on with it. Hey, we're good. I think
Jeez.
we're back. Yeah,
Mike, we need to upgrade our equipment, buddy.
yeah, we're gonna need some.
Mike's in charge of that stuff.
new chords.
Not me.
New chords. That'd be ideal.
Okay, now this guy says, "What fruity shit you drinking?" Hey, it's a mimosa, and I'm drinking a black coffee too. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm drinking a Bloody Mary. All right, and it is really good. I like my Bloody Mary spicy, and this has like the right amount of kick. Like I usually drink one. Like, I'm like a one bloody guy. At the tailgates, I'll drink the Bloody Mary, and then like once it gets low, I'll just add beer to it.
There you
So
go.
eventually, it won't be red anymore. Like I'll just drink.
It's just beer.
Yeah, eventually it will be like a red beer for like the first two, and then it'll just turn into like beer.
Why is it spicy?
Why is it spicy? We do have another comment in the chat.
Get it?
Ben asked, he had the special teams question, but he asked completion rating to consider Harburg to have a great quarterback day.
Look, I think anytime I'm not even expecting 60%.
No, he's been around that 50.
If you can get me between 50 and 56, I think that'll be good enough. Listen, the thing about Harburg, in 2023, he is just the perfect quarterback for this team right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just with his mentality, with his style of play, with the lack of weapons around him. If you're expecting a 70% completion percentage, you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Unless he threw like 4 passes and he completed 3 of them.
Yeah.
Which that might be a stretch.
Right.
Honestly. Like, I mean, no offense, but like,
it is what it is.
he's not a natural thrower of the football.
Yeah.
He's not.
Well, and I think you said it's Ben, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Ben is asking that question for a reason. It's because Michigan State's pass D is so bad.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, Tom Brady came out. There was a quote that just came out here recently, and he said, over my career, I rarely put our offense or like our team in a bad position, just like myself, right? Throwing interceptions, fumbling the ball. And he said, I don't really see that a whole lot like in today's NFL.
Yeah.
And for Nebraska's offense, if Heinrich Harburg is not putting his offense in a bad spot by fumbling the ball or throwing interceptions, that is a great day for that QB.
Yeah. And you said the topic. The topic is fumbling. And that, I think that's the most important stat for Heinrich Harburg is holding onto the football. And I don't know if you guys listened to the press conference, but Matt Rule was talking about, and the one thing I really love about Matt Rule is he is the definition. He is the definition of point the thumb, not the finger.
Yeah.
The previous guy was really good at pointing the finger, not the thumb. And he says, like, hey, like we need to coach it better. He's like, that's on me. When these fumbles, we're leading the country in fumbles, that comes back on me. And so this week he talked about taking an extra initiative of protecting the football. So that is like something that I'm really looking forward to when it comes to Heinrich Harburg, because maybe we'll give him the benefit of the doubt on the one where he got cracked underneath the chin and then they ran on the next play.
Right.
I think he was in La La Land.
Yeah.
But like,
Yes.
if you're playing that quarterback position and you're running the option and you're the ball handler, you're the primary ball handler every play, we need you to hold on to the football.
Yeah.
And, talking about Michigan State's pass defense, I don't have the stat in front of me, but I'm assuming they're like 110th or whatever, right?
Yeah, they're bad.
not very good.
They're bad.
Now, considering that, guys, I don't need Heinrich Harburg to have 20 pass attempts.
Nope.
No, I don't care how bad Michigan State's pass defense is.
No.
If he's throwing 20 plus passes this game, I don't think that's going to bode well. That's just not their strength.
Yeah.
Play to your strengths. Do what you do best. Don't worry about how great or bad the other team's pass defense is. Just do what you do best.
Yep.
And that is running the football, right? And I guess this can kind of expand into something that I hope to see today is we've talked all this year. Hello.
Hey guys.
Hello,
look, it's
Ravi
Lulla.
Hey, look, it's Ravi Lulla.
Hello,
Hi.
sir. We've talked, and Ravi will attest to this too. What Nebraska needs to do is run Heinrich Harburg, right? We've been saying that. Now, my hope for today, considering all those hits that Heinrich Harburg has been taking, again, I am still in concussion protocol, Ravi, from that hit last week. I am hoping to see more Emmett Johnson. If like the ideal scenario for me would be traditional I-back run game today. Last week, Minnesota had 40 rush attempts by their running back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying I'm expecting 40 attempts by Emmett Johnson. I don't think he's capable of that.
No.
But if you can divvy up 40 amongst your running backs, Anthony Grant, we will see. But just in my mind's eye, I'm hoping to see traditional I-back run game today and less Heinrich Harburg if you can help it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Ravi, welcome.
What's going on, guys? I'll just hop right in here.
Yeah. We figured you'd be the perfect guy just to hop right into a conversation.
I actually think I know what you're saying. I don't know that they have enough guys to get 40 carries out of their running backs.
No.
Yeah.
I know.
Nope.
It's scary.
If you could get to 30, I'd be really happy. If you could get to like 20 from Emmett Johnson and then another 10, maybe 15 out of between Anthony Grant and Josh Fleeks, but you're not getting 20 more out of those two guys.
Right.
I mean, you're just not, because you're probably getting 5 tops out of Fleeks. Tops.
Yeah. I know, which is, I don't know. Is that kind of sad?
Yeah, that's what I was
Is that kind of sad? Though?
Yeah, like 20 tops. Are you saying that because we haven't seen it yet, or are we
From
saying
Emmett?
No, with Fleeks.
Oh yeah.
So like he's shown bursts.
He has. Yeah. It doesn't seem like they're comfortable throwing him out there a ton.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going off of what we've seen from him.
Okay.
And kind of the same thing with Grant. It seems like they're real hesitant to put a much of a workload on him at this point, which understandable. I mean, I get it, but they should also kind of be a little hesitant to put that much workload on Heinrich Harburg at this point as well.
Right.
With the amount of turnovers, the amount of hits and stuff. I mean, I assume he's cleared whatever concussion protocol from just getting lit up last week. But you also have to be like, okay, he's not really taking care of the ball that much. We're not getting a ton of the explosive plays we were getting earlier in the season. So maybe you look at it and say, let's mix things up a little bit here so that if it looks like we're going to run, it's not always Harburg.
Yeah.
Right. Because obviously, I mean, he pitched it a couple times last week. I was very excited about it.
Yeah.
Twice, I think.
At least twice.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's go.
No more than 3 times, but at least twice. And he definitely, they definitely have started sniffing that out, right? You've seen a few chunks like 15, 20 yards, but you're not seeing the 70-yard creases that we saw when he first came into the season. So I think you need to start spreading those carries out a little bit, like you said. The question is, where do those carries go? I think you do have to get a little bit more creative. I don't know if you're going to see some like Jalen Lloyd on jet sweeps, stuff like that. That's more what I'm interested in at this point, because after you get the 20 carries from Emmett Johnson, which I do think they should be closer to that number than like 13 or 15. Once you get those 20 carries from Emmett Johnson, I don't love the options at running back. Like, get a sprinkling of Fleeks because he's got the creaseability, the big playability there. Is crease? I don't think.
I was gonna say creaseability.
I think that was your nickname back in high school, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of Man on Fire, John Creasy.
Yeah.
Creaseability.
Creasy Bear.
Creasy Bear. John Fleeks is Creasy Bear.
Creasy Bear.
I definitely just made that word up, but you all knew what I meant.
Yeah.
That's how you know it was a good invention.
Creasy. He's creasy.
Oh, he's creasy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's creasy. I'm like, crazy.
I love it.
But yeah, I think you sprinkle in some Josh Fleeks there, but I think you're going to have to get more creative with who you get touches to. And it's probably going to be, if you want to get to 40 non-QB runs, which I think is a good goal, I don't think it's going to be 40 from the running backs. I think it's going to be maybe 28, 30 from the running backs, and you're going to have to find 10 somewhere else.
Well, and I'm hoping that will be enough. My main concern right now is not losing Heinrich. And like, just imagine, guys, us saying this back in August.
Oh,
we can't lose Heinrich Harburg. We can't lose QB1 Heinrich Harburg. The guy who lined up at tight end and caught a pass in Minneapolis. And we can't lose QB1.
Hey, that brings me, Ravi. So this week we had a conversation. After what we saw, what was behind Heinrich Harburg, the 4 plays we saw, Mr. Jeff Sims. Do you think that they would go to Jeff Sims again if Harburg were to get dinged up in this game, or do you think they'd go the Chuba route?
I was just about to talk about this when he brought up Harburg going out. I think you have to go Chuba.
I do too.
That's what we said.
Like, I know coaches and fans think differently. I know coaches and players think differently. I know players and fans think differently. But if there is any bit of fan in anybody on that team, the thought of Jeff Sims going out there again is a little horrifying.
Yeah.
Because listen, I was calling for him in what game was it? 2 games ago, after the double pick at the end of in the first
Northwestern
against Northwestern. And I was like, man, like maybe we just need to see it from Jeff Sims again.
That's what I did too.
And not to say that he was better, but it'd been long enough, and you're like, hey, Harburg's kind of stopped doing the thing that we liked, which was taking care of the football. He's sort of turning it over just as much, if not more, than Jeff Sims it was at this point. Right. So, like, maybe we go back and look at the guy you thought was your starter just for funsies, maybe
just funsies,
just feel it out a little bit. And then we do see him last week, and he's like, not only am I going to turn it over, I'm going to give you an instant touchdown.
Right. Well, and it was just out. Every play was out of sorts.
Yeah. I mean, he dropped a snap. He
ran the wrong way.
Yeah. At least twice. I think on a couple he ran the wrong way also. And the only play that didn't seem like it was an imminent turnover also turned the wrong way. So not only was he seemingly unprepared, but also exhibited the exact same problems that we saw 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, yeah, maybe, I mean, if Chubba was really the number 2 before he got banged up, which is what they've said.
Yep.
They've said he was ahead of Heinrich.
Before the groin.
Yeah. And
whatever.
And apparently he's a full go now. Like, apparently he's been healthy for a while, been ready to go. Like, maybe he's your number 2 again. Cause I just don't know how you keep throwing Jeff Sims out there and being like, "Here you go, buddy."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, hey, don't fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if you're up like 45 and you're like, "I feel bad, Michigan State needs some touchdowns," then you put Jeff Sims in the game.
Yeah.
No, but like,
No.
I just don't know. Like, I'm not so this is what it reminds me of. And this is a very niche example, but in 2004, when the Red Sox were playing the Yankees and they were down 0-3, they get to game 7 and they're just beating their ass in game 7. And then Terry Francona's like, cause Pedro had been touched up a little bit in that series.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, let's throw Pedro out in game 7 just for funsies. Like, just like he wasn't expected to pitch. Pedro's come out and been like, I had tennis shoes on. I had no intentions of throwing that day. And they're like, yeah, why don't you go out to the bullpen? And they're like, he's like, I never come out of the bullpen. Like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it would feel like to me because like I think the Red Sox were up like 10-0 at this point. Like, they were beating the hell out of the Yankees. And as soon as they put Pedro in, like, everybody's sphincter just like, whoa.
Yeah. Pucker factor 10.
Yeah. And it was just like, listen, Pedro's my favorite baseball player of all time. But in that moment, I was like, dear God, don't put him in there.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Right.
This is a terrible decision, Terry. And it felt like he was like, that's how I would feel at this point if we needed Jeff Sims.
We talked in our episode on Monday how just every time Sims even like steps foot on the field, it's like it's that constant that punt return for touchdown that Iowa had a couple years ago in Memorial Stadium. Just we're gonna lose or something bad is.
We have to lead. It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
The avalanche is starting.
Yeah.
And like you don't think Jeff Sims doesn't feel that? I mean, come on.
More importantly, the rest of the team feels that.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
have to. Like, I understand that coaches and fans and players think differently. But if every Husker fan feels that way, you can't tell me at least a portion of the team isn't like, oh God, what's going to happen?
And
maybe they feel the same way with Heinrich, to be fair, because he's also a turnover machine.
Well, and that's what I was going to go to is a lot of people are like, well, Heinrich is being bailed out by this defense.
100%.
And we brought up on Monday that what if the fact that Heinrich Harburg is the quarterback to begin with is kind of making this defense better because his team's like rallying or behind him. Mm-hmm. His style of play just fits this team very well. It just seems like this team has his back. Like, maybe he's making the defense better. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a stretch, I think.
So I don't think he's making the defense better. I think they're just saving his ass at everything.
Yeah, fair.
But
Tony White's like, damn it, Heinrich. Gosh.
What I do think there is maybe something to is when Heinrich Harburg makes his mistakes, I don't think it's because he's trying to do too much. Like, they're just mistakes, right? He needs to hold on to the football better. Like, maybe he's trying to get an extra yard when he shouldn't, but they're like hard-nosed effort mistakes usually. Yeah. When Jeff Sims makes a mistake, it feels like it's because he's trying to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
And that's a very different perception from the defense, where it's like, it feels like if Jeff Sims played in the manner that Heinrich Harburg does, he probably wouldn't turn it over as much. Like, if he just played kind of within himself and didn't try to be the entire offense. I think because Jeff Sims has had a level of success at the Power 5 level before, that he thinks he can do more than maybe he should. And that comes off like, I always put things in basketball terms because that's what I know best, right? It's like when you've got that guy, you're playing pickup ball or whatever, and he's like a chucker.
Yeah.
And you hate playing with that guy, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a guy that's just not as good, but he tries really hard and he's still going to make probably about the same number of mistakes, but you know the effort's there and for a fact he's not going to try and do anything outside of himself, you can live with that guy. You hate the chucker. You're never playing with the chucker again. you will go play with the effort guy again, even though the mistakes are, about 6 1/2 dozen, like not a ton different.
Right.
That's how I look at the Harburg versus Sims situation. And maybe that's not fair to Jeff Sims. I don't think he's doing it maliciously or anything like that. It's just he knows he's been able to perform at this level before. And at like a place like Georgia Tech, he had to try those things in order to even have a shot to win a game, right?
Right.
Whereas he's never really had a defense of this caliber where it's like, hey, just play within yourself, be cool, like
Be a game manager.
yeah, and we'll be fine here. And I just don't know if he can make that switch in his brain, which it's hard to blame him. He's played a lot of college football to just all of a sudden change his style.
Yep.
So that's not necessarily his fault, but I do think it's a real thing.
Yeah. I would rather them put in Jack Wochi than Jeff Sims. I'm just
I
telling
like
you.
how you had to look up his name.
I had to look up his first name. I would rather have them put him in
Oh, man.
than Jeff Sims. Because I seriously think any other quarterback on the roster right now could just hand the ball off.
I would like to see Chuba.
I do want to see Chuba.
If Harburg either continues to turn it over or gets injured or something because they're like, hey, we're going to keep just running your head into a brick wall. Which again is I advocated for earlier in the season. I was like, hey, like let's run this mofo 25 times. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
and I mean, it's like, I don't think anybody sitting at this table is not surprised that Heinrich Harburg is 5-1. Like I am thoroughly surprised that the guy that got zero development over the last year and a half
laughed off
and in the public
and literally played tight end this year.
Yes.
He caught
a pass.
He had more targets in game 1 than Fedoni did.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Incredible.
That's awesome.
And I think the same number of catches as Billy Kemp.
This team is awesome. Come on. Like,
It's been quite the roller coaster, to be honest. I think he had more catches than Billy Kemp.
I was like, Billy Kemp didn't have a catch.
No, he didn't have a catch. So he had more catches than Billy Kemp.
I was just thinking, I was like, wait, maybe he didn't have. But here's the thing, like all of this craziness, right? And I'm still like, yeah, I still think they're going to win today. I still think they might win out. I still like. I said on the post game last week.
That's right.
You said 8-4.
So
that's what you said.
I think they lose one more somewhere. But I think 8-4, and to think that it's like we don't like any of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We don't like any of the receivers, at least where they're at in their current development, right? I like some of the young guys, but it's like you are young.
Injuries.
No, right. That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like any of the running backs that are left really. Like Emmett Johnson's like, oh, there's maybe something there.
Creasy.
He's
Yeah.
young.
He's creasy.
We've got
Fleeks is Creasy.
Josh Fleeksy Creasy.
Yeah.
Creasy Fleeksy. There it is. Creasy Fleeksy. That's it.
Whatever.
We'll figure it out.
Don't think too hard about that one.
I'm going to. I don't, you've got 60% of your offensive line missing.
Yep.
Your starting quarterback you came into the season with is wrong. And I'm like, and not only have they gone on a 5-1 stretch here, but I'm like, yeah, I think they're going to win like 8 of their last 10.
Right.
Like, just try to wrap your mind around that for a second. It sounds like the dumbest thing in the world. Like today, I think Michigan State's number 2 and 4 leading receivers, so it's like a wide receiver and their top tight end, are gone today, and everybody's like,
we love that.
Thrilled to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Like,
Yeah, it's like it happened. Like, yeah, complain to us about injuries. Okay.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But, people are like, oh, it's a big deal. It's really going to hurt their passing game. And I was like, what's it like to have your number 1 and 3 receiver available? That'd be nice.
Right. Or just not leave the team. There's one.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. The top 4 guys coming into the season, if you're including Betts, which I am, are gone.
Yep.
Like Kemp's, I think, is listed. Billy Kemp's listed as questionable today,
I don't expect.
which I don't expect him to play. But your top 4 guys are gone. You're running out there with literal true freshmen that didn't even come in early. They're just like, hey, we showed up in July. Let's play some college football. And it's like, yeah, I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know how crazy it is to say that out loud? But all of us think that way. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's valid.
Yeah.
That goes to not just say how good the defense is, but also like kind of an incredible job by Matt Rule in year.
100%. He is literally squeezing everything that he can out of third and fourth string guys.
I mean, he's, what's the phrase? You're getting blood out of a turnip, basically.
Right.
Like, that dude is just squeezing until he gets like, I know this is a totally pointless exercise, but can you imagine if Matt Rule and this coaching staff was coaching in like 2021 with that roster,
Right.
or like 2019 with that roster? Like, can you now? Most of those guys probably were out and run off the team because they were not like
Yeah.
bought in, as it were.
Yeah.
That's the nicest way to put it. But
Right.
like to just kind of think about like this roster is not even close to as talented as those rosters were, I don't think. And to still be in a position where it's like, yeah, they might win the West, and I actually feel pretty good about it. Like, what are we talking about?
Right.
here?
Well, and I mean, if you're averaging like 3 turnovers a game and you're still winning, like
That's
that is
insane.
insane.
It's insane.
It makes you
Averaging 3 turnovers with a team that you're missing, like you just said, the whole roster.
And our team doesn't really get a lot of takeaways either.
No.
Well, they've started to get more.
They are.
But like, I'm at to the point where I was like, as long as they're not worse than -2, we're fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not even talking about.
gosh.
I'm not even talking about winning the turnover margin. I'm not even talking about breaking even. I was like, as long as we don't go past -2, I feel pretty good still.
And like speaking of,
Am I wrong though?
No, this team is total bizarro Nebraska. Everything that's gone wrong before, it resulted in an L and an avalanche of L's. Now it's like
Everything's
completely
still going
flipped.
wrong. Everything is still going wrong, and maybe even more. And Matt Rule is like, no, we're still going to get W's here.
Yeah.
well, and I think like the turning point for me, like where the switch flipped was last week.
Whoa.
We fumble the ball in like our own red zone.
Yeah, the first play of the game.
Yeah, a 3rd and out, and then you block the kick and return it for a touchdown. Like that is where this culture is heading. Like that's where this team is heading. Like that was the point for me where I was like, holy shit.
Can you imagine once they get good players? I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
the thing,
It's
man.
crazy.
like, holy
God.
Like,
And I know we don't mean to insult current players, but
No,
just
absolutely
think
not.
when
On
they
the
get good players.
on the offense, I'm fine insulting current players.
Right.
Defensively, I'm like, man, you guys are awesome. I love you so much. On offense, it's like, yeah, can you imagine when they get guys that they actually want to put on the football field?
Well, and listen,
Because right now, they don't want to put any of these guys on the field.
No.
Not for the amount that they are having. Like, I think they wanted to get Malachi Coleman like 5 to 10 snaps a game. I
Yeah.
think they wanted to get Jalen Lloyd like 5 to 10 snaps a game. Jaden Doss, I think if he doesn't get injured, they actually would have played him. I think he was ready. But like, they didn't want to have to throw in any of the offensive linemen except for Justin Evans Jenkins. They really liked him. I think he almost won a starting spot anyway. But outside of him, like, they didn't want Lutovsky to be a starter. They didn't think Teddy Prohaska was ready to start again. Obviously, they didn't want Heinrich Harburg to be playing quarterback because they lined him up as a tight end.
right.
And
Like-
he might be a tight end next year. Who knows?
And he might go right back to lining up in the backfield. So I don't even think it's an insult to these players. The coaching staff didn't want any. That's why they weren't starters. They didn't want any of these guys on the field.
Right.
It's all out of desperation
No, it's
and
like-
being forced to do it.
It's like looking around the room and just being like, Bueller, is anybody here? Bueller? No.
No, literally nobody.
Josh Fleeks, do you want to come play running back?
Well, no, you'd have students that raise their hand and you're like, no.
Next.
It's like one of those days.
Not you. Okay, you, I guess. Fine. Nobody else.
It's like Donkey volunteering to go on the quest with Shrek. Pick me. And then he's like, anybody else?
Anybody else?
It's like, I mean, Jared, you know this because you're a teacher. It's like one of those days where there's like a field trip or something, and like 4 kids don't get their permission slip signed. Nebraska is left with the 4 kids in the room.
Yeah.
And they're just like,
It's the kids that don't want to go to the pep rally, so they go to the cafeteria.
Yeah.
It is the, it's the. All right.
It's a lot of grit. It's a lot of grit.
What is it? I think it's Troy when he's like out. Brad Pitt's out massacring people. He's like, "Is there no one left? There's no one else." Like that's where we're at with the wide receiver and running back with the room. It's like, "Is there no one else?" And Josh Fleeks is like, "I'll play running back."
Yeah. And like this is everything that we're talking about right now. This has publicly, Matt Rule has not come out and said, wait till we get our guys here. Wait till we get our players here. Wait till our whole offense isn't injured, right?
Because
you
he's
have
not
to
Deion Sanders and just throws his entire team under the bus
Right.
when his little boy gets hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and like you have to imagine the pitch for recruiting. Moving forward, you're like, hey, dude,
Hey,
like
be ready to
we
play.
want to get this thing going, and you are you can
Pretty
probably
good.
handle things.
You might be able to contribute
Yeah.
right now.
Right
Yeah.
now.
You got your permission slip already signed. I
Right.
forged it and everything.
Yeah.
Nate said, and in the morning, I'm making waffles.
That's right.
Donkey and Shrek.
Oh, there is. I mean, no, you're right though. The recruiting pitch is like, hey, like look at what we did with the guys we had.
Right.
Like, and not even throwing those guys on the bus, but it's like, hey, we think you can elevate what we already had here. Imagine what we could do with you.
Right.
Yeah, so Kwan Lacey and
Yeah.
Carlin Jones.
Well, Carlin Jones is still committed, right?
Yes,
As
but
of right now,
I'm
That's
I'm
still
scared.
a little scared. Carter Nelson, has got his flirtation with Notre Dame.
He'll be fine. He's been at every Nebraska game. He's holding up signs.
I mean, you got Carlin Jones with that Ohio State offer.
That's
although
weird.
Apparently, he is obsessed with Nebraska, is from what I've heard. So
Okay.
we're hoping. listen, you can have Quan Lacey. If we only want people that really want to be here.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
They want to wear the N.
Exactly.
That's right.
I'll put Caleb Benning in at running back. I don't give an F.
Yeah.
Like, you see that guy with the ball? He's incredible.
Yeah.
Put on like 20 pounds. It'll be fine.
Playmaker,
Warrior.
baby.
Like,
Warrior.
So
Don't need a weapon. We got warriors. We'll have 3 of them.
Yes,
now.
the weapon. So here's what I need Urban Meyer to stop doing. I need him to stop talking about Tony White.
Yeah.
I know everybody knows about Tony White by now. Everybody knows him, but I need Urban to stop saying he's one of the best D coordinators in the country.
Keep my DC's name out your fucking mouth.
Yeah, you ain't wrong.
Who gets slapped?
Yeah.
Because when Urban takes his Michigan State job, right?
Shit.
He knows who's going to call for his DC, right?
Listen, I'm totally okay if Nebraska's like, hey, we're going to pay Tony White like $2 million.
Oh, 100%.
I don't care.
Because, listen, here's what I would love.
It ain't my money.
Here's what I would love to happen is because I'm not worried about another DC job. I don't think he leaves for another DC job. I'm worried about like a MAC head coaching job.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, knock on wood, I don't know that 1 year at Nebraska is enough to catapult him into that conversation yet. Now, if he does this again next year, I am genuinely concerned. But in the meantime, let's pay that man his money.
Yeah.
Pay that man his money.
Well, if you think about it too, like look at Bowling Green. Or, not Bowling Green. Syracuse. Look at Syracuse, where he just came from.
They both wear orange. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever. Orange, it's game day. All I'm worried about is red. You look at Syracuse, where he just came from, and they might be looking for a head coach. And
they were good last year on defense, but because of the talent disparity with a lot of the teams they played, the numbers aren't going to look the way they do at Nebraska this year in terms of Tony White's stats. So if you're one of those search firms that's not that good at your job, because I don't think most of them are, because they're just like, hey, here's this very obvious list of candidates you should try and hire.
yeah, we'll take commission.
As long as nobody's hiring the Matrix Analytical because they love Tony White, like as long as nobody's hiring those guys, then we should be okay, I think, for another year. But I think they are going to have to pay him. And I'm like, let's back up the Brinks truck.
Don't care.
Yeah.
And save some money on hiring the 19-year-old wide receiver coach. Like, just give that money to Tony White.
Wonder Boy.
Listen, make him the highest paid DC in the country. I don't care.
Yeah, and I think if we're having like a discussion about Tony White and the job that he's done, I mean, I'm far be it from me to ever diminish that, considering where this program has been for the past decades long, whatever. I don't even want to put a number on it because I feel like it would go back further. But I think if you're being rational, I think you would look at the teams that Nebraska has played and you would say, well, Tony White, you've done an amazing job flipping the culture, RDV, all this, while also looking at the offenses that they've played. And you can admit that these offenses that they're playing are not good, but all you can do is play the teams that you're scheduled. That's all you can do. What's in front of you? They've taken care of business so far. But I think you can also have a discussion that, hey, I got to see more than 1 year of this.
Yeah.
Because the offenses that you're going to be playing later as you go forward in the Big Ten, assuming Tony White is still here, USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington. Let's see it against those teams, those offenses.
If you go so Tony, next year on the schedule, you've got Ohio State, you've got USC, you've got UCLA.
Yeah.
If he can do this against those teams next year,
then it's real.
Then he's going to get a head coaching job.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking for a DC.
Then he's leaving.
Yeah.
And then
He's gone.
And then either Terrence Knight or Evan Cooper is your new DC.
Yeah. I hope they take the Brent Venables approach where it's like, yeah, we're just going to make you the highest paid, whatever.
That's what I mean. Like,
and
just make him the highest paid DC in the country, because most of these power or like group of 5 MAC jobs, whatever, if you're a really well paid Power 5 DC, you're making more money than those guys are in a lot of the situations, unless you're at like a Cincinnati or somewhere pretty good. But a lot of the jobs that would be available to him, it's a pretty dramatic pay cut. And, maybe he just maybe he does go to the Brent Venable approach and just says, yeah, I'm just going to wait for a Power 5 job. Like, if they really want me, like Ryan Walters went from DC to Power 5 job, why can't I?
Right.
You know, like, if he's got any kind of ego, and if you're any good at coaching, you have an ego.
Believe in yourself.
Yeah, like, you have to, I think, look at it and be like, why would I want to go to a MAC school when I can just wait a little bit and get a Power 5 job? Especially if he believes in Coach Rule, which he must to have come here in the first place.
Yep.
If he believes in the direction Nebraska's going, like, look at Georgia and Alabama's coordinators, they don't go take group of 5 jobs.
Right.
I'm not saying Nebraska's in that category yet, but if you're highly successful at this level as a DC, you don't have to go take a group of 5 job.
Dude, Kirby Smart, straight to Georgia.
Yeah.
Right.
Boom. No experience.
That's what I mean. I mean,
Look at him.
you know, you've got a lot of, I mean, I know Sarkisian had head coaching experience before, but none of these guys, like the last guy that I can remember from one of those schools that went from coordinator to a group of 5 school was Jim McElwain went to Colorado State after he was a coordinator down there. So it's like, I don't know if maybe that's the path that he wants to take anymore. And
So our Iowa State buddy just showed up.
nobody likes that. Actually, I like Matt Campbell a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they're doing well again, because I think people were crapping on him a lot because he'd had a tough couple years. And it's like, it's Iowa State, right? Like, it's pretty hard to do, to be even functional
And
there.
look, we talked about Nebraska struggles with injuries, etc. I mean, they're betting crap.
Yeah.
Like half their guys are freaking suspended or whatever. Matt Campbell, his star had diminished a little bit, but you look at what he's done.
Reemerging.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and ever since that fan talked crap to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you blah, 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 blah. Gets pulled away from the fan. Yeah. Ever since that, Iowa State.
I meant
steady
Iowa
Eddie.
State, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
I think, honestly, it needed to be said, though, because you got to remember, like, he is the GOAT at Iowa State already.
He is.
He really is. And so it's like
Statue.
he's automatically. He has to have a statue. And the thing is that, like, you can't have these highly expectations still at Iowa State. I understand, like, but he's hit their ceiling. He's already done it.
Yeah.
And so, like, to expect that year in and year out isn't going to happen.
This is an Iowa State podcast.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Shout out, Brett.
Cry clowns.
I'm just a Matt Campbell stan a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
I think self-awareness is important in people, and with Kansas or Iowa State fans, like Kansas post Mangino or Iowa State the last couple of years, it's like, you guys know who you are, right? Like,
Yeah.
can we be a little more realistic about what's happening here?
Right.
Like, let's not run out. And I get Mangino had some other stuff going on in Kansas, but like, let's not run out the best coach you've ever had by a mile, because he's had a couple tough years that would have been the high watermark for
Before.
Yes.
for like 90% of the head coaches in your history.
Gosh.
I know.
Like,
It's crazy. Don't get spoiled.
Listen, it's okay. This might be, I don't know.
You can relate to Nebraska.
No. Relate it to Iowa with
okay.
Brian Ferentz.
Oh,
right?
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I know the argument. Okay. I know
Is the argument
this
that
team-
Brian Ferentz is a knob?
a knob,
Knob.
a nepotistic a knob.
I watch too much British television.
Yeah.
Multiple knobs all
Oi.
the time.
A knob.
I just they're winning 9 games regularly.
Every year.
And I know the argument is, well, you fire this shitty offensive coordinator. Just imagine the possibility.
Just imagine.
We're winning 9 games with this shit offense. If we get a good offensive coordinator, maybe we can win 10 or 11.
You ain't going to win 12.
Listen, even if you get a better offensive coordinator, you're still going to win 9 games ish.
It's still Kirk.
You are getting you're getting above your little britches here. You're getting.
I agree.
Come on.
Well, and people forget, like,
You're getting greedy, motherfuckers.
Iowa has an identity, right?
I'm just saying.
Iowa has an identity. Do you think that they're just going to not run Iowa football still? Just because Brian Ferentz isn't calling the plays, you don't think they're still going to be running the ball in between the tackles and throwing the play action pass? You don't think that's going to happen with whoever becomes OC?
I think the problem is they would like to be successful
At doing it, yeah.
It's like I don't think it's stylistically. I think it's okay. The offensive line has stopped producing NFL offensive linemen.
Yeah.
I think it's they don't have running backs going to the NFL. They don't have game manager quarterbacks becoming backups in the NFL as undrafted free agents, because that's kind of the ceiling of an Iowa quarterback. Believe me, I lived through the CJ Beathard experience. In San Francisco.
yeah.
I know. But you don't have those guys going to the levels that they need to. And I mean, to be fair, like when they have been that type of offense or had those type of guys, they do win 10 games. They do win 11 games sometimes. I mean, I think their high water mark is 12 pretty early on in his tenure. But, they were, when they had like, this is going way back.
Brad Banks.
Like Brad Banks, they were winning double-digit games. They go, even like Nate Stanley, they won double-digit games. When you have even functional people on that side of the ball, then they do win double-digit games. So, like, I don't think their ceiling is 9 wins. I do think it's 10 or 11. Now, they get a little big for their britches when they're like, we should be in the playoff. And it's like, no. But no, I do think 10 or 11 games is their ceiling, like once every 4 years, if they have a functional offense, and they just haven't had that. So to me, it's not even about stylistically. It's, okay, we stopped being good at the things that stylistically we were okay with the offensive line and the running backs and the game manager quarterback. They just don't have any of that anymore.
And it makes you think like just how important a strength coach is to your program.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
Doyle
really gone downhill since then.
I mean, he was the best. He was the best strength coach in the country. Like Chris Doyle, for all of his faults or whatever, and
yes,
being a piece of shit human. Yes.
Yeah, like being like a terrible guy.
Yeah.
And seemingly a racist.
He's
allegedly.
probably,
Allegedly,
listen,
right.
if hell exists, he's probably going there.
He's probably chilling with some other football coaches that we know.
But isn't it hilarious though? Like the dysfunction that we're so accustomed to happening in
Elsewhere?
Iowa City.
We love it.
Well, yeah.
Love to see it.
We love it.
Yeah,
I mean,
love it.
seriously.
Firing your offensive coordinator with 4 games left. You couldn't wait 4 games.
Especially when you're 6-2.
Well, he has to still do his job too.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
They're 6-2. They're getting greedy, man.
Yeah.
But here's why they fired him, right? Because there's a decent chance they go 10-2, 9-3, whatever. And then firing your offensive coordinator at the end of the season when you're 6-2 or when you're 10-2 or 9-3, and you look at it and you go, wait, why are we firing this guy? So you have to do it before the season plays out.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's an even worse look.
If I were him, I would just leave. I know I understand his dad's the coach, but I would be like, all right,
I
whatever.
would do whatever I needed to continue cashing paychecks.
I get it.
Well, it's not like he's going out recruiting. He can't go recruit now.
Yeah. And that, I don't know.
What's his next step? Like you hear, just go to the NFL. It's like, well,
NFL, O-line.
So I think he's genuinely a good offensive line coach. So whether it's in the NFL, whether it's at a different Power 5 school,
Nebraska?
like
Nebraska? I was going to say that.
he will get an offensive line coaching job. Like it's the Bill Callahan thing, right?
Yeah.
No matter how disgraced he ever was as an OC or as a head coach or whatever, he is genuinely very good at offensive line coaching. And so I think Brian Ferentz is pretty much the same way. He'll probably never get another OC job again, and his chances of being a head coach, I think, are gone. But you can make a really nice living being an OC for however long. I mean, he's 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
OC, or he can be an offensive line coach for 25 years and make, several $100,000 a year. Like, oh, poor Brian Ferentz.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
And you don't even need your daddy to hire you. Yeah. Somebody will get you.
No, he's genuinely a good offensive line coach. But you see this all the time, whether it's with position coaches going to coordinators, whether it's coordinators going to head coaches. Like, it's a very different skill set to be the next like step up, right? It's like when it's like Michael Scott was a really good salesman. He was a terrible sales manager. That happens in real life. Like, salespeople and sales managers is a very different skill set.
Yeah.
And but it's always the really good salesman that get promoted to sales manager. It's like, hey, that's like a different thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like people don't understand that. It's like, oh, you're a really good quarterbacks coach. You're our next offensive coordinator. It's like, whoa.
Well, and
you were a really good
that,
offensive coordinator. You're going to be a great head coach.
I like that you're saying that because Scott.
Let's talk about Scott.
Not just Scott, but like Coach Rule brought this up a couple weeks. He's like, hey, before I became a head coach, I was a pretty good football coach.
Yeah, I like that
because it's
comment.
a totally different thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And he just happened. He's, I think, probably better suited as a head coach because of his mindset and his skill set. But the things that he does now as a head coach, there's not a lot of carryover from what he was doing as a position coach and a coordinator. It's a totally different skill set. So we make that mistake all the time. And I don't know that there's a better way to make those hires, but I do think you have to understand, like, okay, just because they were good at this thing does not by any stretch of the imagination mean they're going to be good at the next step up.
Yeah. And I think, I know we're going to get to the keys of the game and all that.
Yep.
But I think Matt Rule is the perfect example of you're not hiring Matt Rule because he runs a particular type of offense. He doesn't run a particular defense. It's because of the kind of leader and the kind of culture that he
It's because his
builds.
identity that he builds is not based on scheme.
It's person, right?
Like, so many times when we talk about identity, it's scheme based, right? Oh, they're a spread offense, or they're a power offense, or they're this kind of defense, or whatever, right? We talk about identity all the time. What the hell is Nick Saban's identity as a scheme? Nobody
knows.
He has a revolving door of coordinators.
It changes, right?
Yeah.
But what his identity is culture. His identity is leadership. That's the same thing with Matt Rule. Again, not saying he's Nick Saban.
You heard it.
You heard it here.
Heard it here first.
Yeah.
7 national titles.
Yeah.
But it's a similar type of thing. That's why Nick Saban's a good head coach. It's not because he has this scheme or whatever. It's because his identity is his culture. And that's the same way with Matt Rule. His identity has never been about, hey, I run this scheme or we do this, we do X, Y, and Z. It's about how they run their program, not how they run their plays. And that's a totally different thing.
Yep. Again, before we get to the keys of the game,
Well, good.
I got Matthew M. So he asks, who would be at the top of their list for OCs?
Is that in honor of being in East Lansing in Michigan with the Detroit?
Yeah.
got to ask you a
No,
question.
that's you saying that. I am
I am not saying that.
That is not in my realm of existence. But I think when Matthew asks, sorry, so many mimosas this morning. Who would be at the top of their list for OC? Now, this would make me think not so much about their OC, but for Iowa, who takes over for King Kirk.
Right.
And that's where a Chris Kleiman would scare me. Whoever Chris Kleiman's OC is, their former quarterback, whatever, Colin
Klein.
Yeah.
That's where I'm more concerned about who their next head coach is, not necessarily who their next OC is.
Yeah, because I don't think Kirk is long for this job.
Right.
No.
I still wouldn't be. I know he came out and said, yeah, I'm planning to be back. It's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, of course you are.
Anytime you say I'm planning to do something, it means okay, you're probably not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like that's sports talk for I'm GTFO.
Right.
So I don't, even if he's back next year, I don't think he's long for Iowa after the way this went down. So I do think the head coach is the more interesting question. I do think you have to worry about Mark Stoops at Kentucky. The Stoops are all Iowa boys.
Mm-hmm.
Stoops has been really successful at Kentucky. That's a hard job. Iowa's probably an easier job than Kentucky. I think it is. They probably don't have the same number of resources, but Kentucky football is always going to be second banana to Kentucky basketball. And B, you're in the SEC where you're always a second-class citizen.
But Iowa football's takes a second seat to Iowa women's basketball. So
fair, but once Caitlin Clark graduates, I think that might change.
No, even after she graduates, she looms.
She might just keep having eligibility somehow. I don't know. But I think at a place like Iowa, he has the chance to kind of lead as the lead program within an athletic department. Obviously, they've got the Iowa connection. The Bob Stoops thing is stupid. I don't think he's
not coming out of retirement to work for Iowa.
Not doing this. Bielema is, I think, on the table.
Tatted.
Yeah, he's tatted up, so he's a threat. Kleiman is an interesting one, though, because I really do like Kleiman. I think he's a really good football coach, and that is a step up from Kansas State to Iowa. That's an upgrade in job. So those are the three to me that are really interesting, and then offensive coordinator kind of filters down from there. I do think it'd be hilarious if Scott Frost ended up being the offensive coordinator.
That would be hilarious.
Villain.
That would suck.
And then we hire Brian Ferentz as the offensive line.
He was a GA there, wasn't he? Scott, I think Scott was at Iowa.
Northern Iowa.
Was it Northern Iowa?
Northern.
Yeah. And then K-State. That's what it was. Yeah.
K-State.
Yeah. Northern Iowa, then K-State. Okay.
So yeah, I don't think that'll happen. I think he's happy collecting his checks in Arizona right now, but
hanging out in Oregon.
It would be
golfing every day.
It would be a little funny.
Yeah, it would be funny.
All right,
probably really good.
We've got about 15 minutes left.
Okay, now Mike, I'm gonna throw it over to you. Yeah. Keys of the game. You might have some comments.
We got some comments from our friend Trey Otis. He says, keys to the game, ball security. That's something Nebraska has struggled with. If they can fix that, they'll have a real chance at winning the West. You are 100% right, Trey, and that is my key of the game. Take care of the fucking ball.
Yeah.
Let's keep it simple. If you don't give the other team the ball, besides when you're punting it to them, you have a good chance to beat a team that you're better than.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we talked about it, right? If you're winning with an average of 3 turnovers a game, imagine this game is going to be pretty simple, I think, if you're not giving the ball away 3 to 4 times.
Yeah. Especially on the road. It's not going to be a hostile environment. It's probably not going to be close to sold out.
I mean, let's be honest. If Nebraska doesn't gift wrap touchdowns to Michigan State, they're not scoring a whole lot.
No, exactly.
And even if they do gift wrap touchdowns to Michigan State, they still might not score a lot. They could. I mean, we've seen Nebraska turn the ball over in the in the opponent's red zone, basically
inside the 10.
Yeah, and the defense is like, no, you're not getting anything, and you'll like it.
Yeah, right.
So yes,
yeah. When you look at Michigan State statistics, just don't really do much good. Okay,
not really.
So, in the past, with other staffs, we might say, okay, Michigan State sucks at this aspect of the game, but when they play Nebraska, they just suddenly do good.
Yeah, suddenly the third string quarterback's a Heisman contender.
Hello. And, maybe it is just something as simple as changing who your head coach is and who all your assistants are, where you don't really feel like, okay, Michigan State sucks at passing. They're going to pass all over Tony White and company. You don't feel that way. You feel like as long as Heinrich Harburg is in the game.
Yeah.
Imagine saying that in August.
I know.
It feels weird to say it now, to be
It's
honest.
still,
Yeah.
If Jeff Sims doesn't play, Nebraska wins.
Someone just said,
Oh my God.
don't let Sims touch the ball. Keys to the
Oh,
game.
no.
Don't let Sims touch the ball.
Oh, Jeff.
Oh, no. Thanks, Matt.
Did Jeff Sims travel?
Yeah.
It's not the. It's not.
Oh, man, it's so bad, Ravi.
Just Jeff Sims though. Like, there's a part of me that's just like, let's just limit the number of times our quarterback has to do anything,
Yeah.
regardless of who it is. It's just like, let's
Oh.
limit the number of touches from our quarterback, the guy who is legally obligated to touch.
Yeah,
it.
okay. I just had someone on TikTok that says Jeff joined. So just Jeff. So Jeff Sims,
I hope that
he's in the locker room watching us right now.
I don't think Jeff. I think Nebraska's probably on the field right now warming up. It's 10:30, guys.
Not Jeff, though.
If
Yes.
if Jeff is hopping in the chat,
And that's
half
what-
an hour before
And he is
Now
the
you know.
definition of checked out.
Yeah. So that's the reason he's running the wrong way.
He's listening to the No Block No Rock
Oh
podcast.
my God.
I mean, terrific endorsement, but
Yeah.
maybe get locked in on the playbook a little bit there, Jeff.
Run left. I mean, right.
He's like out.
Oh.
He's out there like, which one is it?
Wait. It says I have to catch the snap? What? Oh, no. Okay. Stop it. Stop it. We got to stop
We-
this.
yeah, we can't-
Another key to the game from Nate.
Go.
Key to the game: long sustained drives, draw Michigan State defense in and throw over the top, contain the quarterback scramble.
TOP, baby.
TOP.
You know it's always about TOP with me. I think,
I mean, long
So-
sustained drives are a pipe dream.
yes, they are.
Yeah, we did it once last week and we did score.
That's true. There was like 4 third out
Yeah,
conversions.
that's
Jalen
long.
Lloyd comes up big, or Jaden Doss makes up for his drop with a third down catch.
That's long sustained drive,
Yeah.
not drives.
Yeah, that's plural.
Multiple is a big ask. I do think they're going to score, but it's going to be chunk plays. Like that's right. Like that's kind of
Boomer
what they-
bust.
That's kind of what they've shown all year.
Got to.
If they can even sustain drives long enough, like I'm not even talking about scoring, but if they can sustain drives long enough to be on the field for just like a few minutes, so that the defense can be like, hey, we're going to chill for a second.
So the defense can go,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like take it from like the 20 to the 50 and then punt rather than like 3 and out or turnover immediately. Like that's all I'm asking for. That's what a sustained drive to me is at this point in the season.
Right.
It's just like, hey, let's just not turn it over immediately.
Yes.
Let's wait a few.
Suck less.
Yeah.
That's how I live my life.
Just
Suck less.
marginally less. Like not even a lot less.
yeah. And maybe this is me. I don't want to overlook Michigan State by any means.
How dare you?
But no, I'm just like thinking long term, and I've said this before earlier. Just like long term, the key to the game. I just feel like if you can not run with Harburg, please try not to.
No.
I know you're going to. I know he's going to get his face into a lot of piles, and he's going to get hit. I know that. Okay, but if you can just limit that as much as you possibly can,
I disagree. I think you just got to run with them. You have
I
to.
hear you, but I
You
just
have to.
I don't want to see Chubba. I
do.
don't want to see Jeff.
I
I
don't
don't
care.
want to see what's his fucking name?
Wojcik.
I don't want to see him. I want to see Heinrich.
No, I think you stick to what was working, and that is running the shit out of Heinrich Harburg.
I'm a little morbidly curious about Chubba Purdy.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
Well,
It is what it is.
Listen, we know what we're getting from Jeff Sims. We didn't know what we'd be getting from Heinrich Harburg, and that was 5-1. And if the laughing stock of last year ended up getting you 5-1, who knows what Chubba Purdy does?
Especially like I'm hanging on to this like Chubba was ahead of Heinrich. Like,
Yeah, he
that's
was.
the part of me that's like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Jeff Sims was ahead of both.
And people forget too, he was a top 10 dual threat quarterback coming out of high school.
Florida
I
State.
read an article this week by one of
He
those
was-
outlets
he was bad.
that he was. Yeah, he was. He runs the option very well.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
fun fact.
Does he know how to pitch?
I would imagine.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Although if Harburg goes down, I think he would have to pitch more because we would be going. You know, what number 3 would be
Jeff Simpson.
No, it's Wokchi. Whatever. It's
Wokchi.
The thing about the option though, man, is like you got to run that shit over and over and over and over and over. That's why Harburg doesn't pitch it very often because he just hasn't been repped in it.
Yeah,
that's the thing. But yeah, I mean that's my key is just like kind of thinking long term a little bit. Let's keep Harburg in the game.
Nope.
I don't want Harburg to die. That hit he took last week, I still hear it ringing in my ears.
That hit. Welcome to college football, dude.
Listen, you can't think long term. Matt Rule's been very.
I know
clear.
you're right.
We got to go 1-0 this week.
1-0 this week.
1-0.
And how are we going to win this week? Running the fuck out of Harburg.
And listen.
1-0.
And if we die, we die.
We die. Hey, Warriors don't need weapons. They are the weapon. And Harburg
is a warrior.
I kind of want to get "if we die, we die" tattooed somewhere on my body.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like
right on your forehead, maybe. Backwards,
right here under your eyes.
Start rapping. Start rapping on SoundCloud, even though it's outdated.
What about like a nice neck tat? Just like if we die, we die.
No regrets.
Serious.
No regrets.
No regrets. Not even one letter.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Score predictions?
Oh, scoring? Oh man, what did I say? I forgot what I said. I gotta think about this. Okay, if you know, you go.
Yeah.
Mine was 27-6 Nebraska.
Okay.
I think that defense is the real deal. And I believe in our coach Matt Rule saying he's gonna figure out the turnover stuff. I do think we still turn the ball over, but hopefully it's less than the other team.
Yeah.
27-6.
If Kyle, if you
I think
remember,
yours was 2016, wasn't yours?
20-16.
Yeah. Yours was like a 2 to 4 point game.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, I think yours was 20-16.
So you saying that 20-16? I'm rolling with that. 2016. Nebraska is going bowling. If we bowl, we bowl.
If we bowl, we bowl.
If we bowl, we going. Actually, that's
we're going for sure.
Oh, we go to Vegas.
I'm down. Ravi, you can join us.
I don't care if it's in the freaking Yankee Stadium.
We got 23-7 Skurs, Triotis.
All right. I said like 20. I think I said 24-12.
I don't know if you said that, but
yeah, I did. I wrote it down.
Well, if you didn't, are you rolling with 24-12?
Yeah, 24-12.
Let's go.
Right.
Yep. Ravi?
I'm going with a Nebraska ass whooping. 31-3. Let's go.
All right. We'll check him up on that in the post game.
How many pick sixes? How many freaking block punts, kicks, return for touchdown?
At least one non-offensive touchdown.
Nate says 17-14. Ben says 24-10. Adam says GBR. He didn't give us a score prediction. Come on, Adam. What are you doing?
I think
Figure it out.
GBR is an endorsement of 31-3. I think.
Okay. Yeah. I think he's like, I like what he's cooking.
Yeah. Nate said 17-14. That's
Adam
a little
says,
close for my liking.
He said 20-6.
20-6 is good.
Yep.
And just for future reference, guys, whenever we post a scoring prediction graphic, we don't need you to comment, I don't care what the score is, just win. We know that. We know. Bruh, put a score down.
Yeah. Just guess. You can say 100-0. I don't care.
Fucking numbers. Don't say, I don't care if it's ugly. That's not what we asked. We asked you for a scoring prediction. Put a freaking score down. Sorry.
Yes, that is our graphics that we send every week.
Mike went through a lot.
I made
on
those.
The AI.
I used AI to make some sweet ass graphics. Matt says 24-0.
Damn.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Listen.
Would that be the first shutout since holiday?
Yes.
Yeah.
What,
And it's the first. It'd be the first conference shutout, I think, since it's like 20 years. It's early 2000s.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't
Yeah, it's like 2001.
I remember they beat Iowa State 28 for a year.
It was like 2001.
No,
it was later. I think it was like
later than
09.
that. I think it was like 09.
Yeah, that might be 09.
One of the Sioux teams, I think, had a conference shutout.
Yeah, and then
But
we
I mean,
did it in the
you're
bowl
talking-
game that same year.
Yeah, you're talking like 15 years though.
It's been a long time. Last week I thought we were going to do that.
Same.
And then we put Jeff Sims in.
And he's like, he goes.
Here you go. Oh, you wanted a shutout?
Listen, he was very good in elementary school, very good at sharing his toys. So that's
The GOAT, Kim Kavalak, says 21-0.
Hey, shout out Kim. Nebraska Brewing Company. Make sure you guys go there today. 108th and Harrison in La Vista, Nebraska. 68128.
Come to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Watch the game with us.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Go follow NBNR Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Go listen.
And watch the post game spread after.
Yeah, the post game spread with Ravi Lulla and Jared Hall.
Hello.
Not Jared Hall, right? You're not playing quarterback tomorrow for the Vikings?
I am not.
Okay, I was just checking.
Okay.
My Achilles is not going to get snapped.
Also, listen to Hurrdat Sports Radio every weekday morning from 7 to 10 a.m.
There it is.
There it is.
With Ravi Lulla and
Andrew Rogers for now.
Andrew Rogers.
for now.
Yeah.
We love some A-Rod, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, let's sign off. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm one of your hosts, Jared Hall.
Mike Delaware.
Kyle Byers.
Ravi Lulla.
As always, beat Michigan State in GBR.